One bullet. That is what it took to create $50 million. Jed Clampett was shooting at food when he struck oil and became an instant millionaire. The Beverly Hillbillies turned that premise into the most watched television episode in history. For 9 seasons, America watched a backwoods family stumble through Beverly Hills mansions and swimming pools. But behind the laughter, everything was war. The creator was blacklisted and almost destroyed. One actress was so hated that the cast refused to film with her. The network despised the show and tried to kill it repeatedly. A president of the United States attacked it publicly. And the final episode never aired because CBS burned every script to hide the ending. For 9 years, the Beverly Hillbillies dominated ratings while critics called it the death of American culture. These are 20 facts about the show that proved hillbillies always get the last laugh. Before we dive into video, please subscribe to our channel. Fact 1. Paul Henning was blacklisted. Paul Henning created the Beverly Hillbillies, but almost never got the chance. He had been blacklisted in the 1,950 seconds during the Hollywood communist witch hunts. Henning was never a communist, but he knew people who were. He attended meetings that were later deemed suspicious. His name appeared on lists. Studios refused to hire him. For years, Henning could not work under his own name. He wrote scripts using pseudonyms. He took jobs that paid nothing. He watched his career collapse because of paranoia and accusations. By the late 1,950 seconds, the blacklist was weakening. Henning slowly rebuilt his reputation. He worked on The Bob Cummings Show and proved himself valuable. When he pitched the Beverly Hillbillies to CBS, the network was hesitant. They remembered his past. They worried about controversy. But Henning had something they could not ignore. A brilliant premise that was guaranteed to work. A poor family strikes oil and moves to Beverly Hills. The clash of cultures. The fish out of water comedy. CBS took the risk and Henning got his redemption. The Beverly Hillbillies became the biggest hit in television history. The man they tried to destroy became one of the most powerful producers in Hollywood. Paul Henning never forgot what blacklisting cost him. He made sure his shows celebrated common people over elites. The Clampetts were smarter than the wealthy snobs who mocked them. That was not accidental. That was revenge. Fact 2. The first episode drew 60 million viewers. The Beverly Hillbillies premiered on the 26th of September, 1962. The first episode drew massive numbers, but nothing compared to what came later. By the end of season 1, the show was a cultural phenomenon. The highest-rated episode ever aired on the 8th of January, 1964. It was titled, The Giant Jackrabbit. Over 60 million people watched. That was more than half the television sets in America. The episode featured Jethro finding a kangaroo and thinking it was a giant jackrabbit. Simple comedy, nothing groundbreaking. But America was obsessed. The ratings record stood for years. No sitcom has ever matched those numbers adjusted for population. The Beverly Hillbillies was not just popular, it was a national event. Families scheduled their lives around it. Wednesday nights belonged to the Clampetts. CBS could not believe their fortune. They had expected moderate success. Instead, they had a monster that printed money. Fact 3. Buddy Ebsen was poisoned by the Tin Man. Buddy Ebsen played Jed Clampett with warmth and intelligence, but he almost died years earlier playing a different role. Ebsen was cast as the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz. The aluminum powder makeup used for the costume was toxic. Ebsen breathed it in during filming. His lungs collapsed. He was hospitalized for weeks. The makeup nearly killed him. He was replaced by Jack Haley and lost the role that should have made him famous. For years, Ebsen struggled to find work. He did supporting roles and guest spots. He was talented but unlucky. The Beverly Hillbillies changed everything. Jed Clampett made Ebsen a star at age 54. He became one of the most beloved actors on television. The man who almost died in Oz finally got the career he deserved. Ebsen played Jed with quiet dignity. He refused to make Jed stupid. Jed was uneducated but wise. He had common sense that educated people lacked. Ebsen insisted on this portrayal. He fought writers who wanted Jed to be a fool. Jed Clampett was smart. He just talked different. That distinction mattered to Ebsen, and it made the character unforgettable. Fact 4. Donna Douglas was discovered by accident. Donna Douglas played Ellie Mae Clampett, the beautiful tomboy who loved critters. She was discovered completely by accident. Douglas was working as a model and occasional actress. She had done small television roles. Nothing significant. Paul Henning saw her in a toothpaste commercial. Something about her face caught his attention. She had innocence mixed with strength. She looked like she could wrestle a bear and giggle about it. Henning brought her in to audition. She read for Ellie Mae and got the part immediately. Douglas had no idea the show would become massive. She thought it might last one season. Instead, it made her a sex symbol. Millions of men fell in love with Ellie Mae. The character wore tight jeans and shirts tied at the waist. She was gorgeous, but completely unaware of it. That combination drove audiences wild. Douglas received marriage proposals daily. Fan mail arrived in trucks. She was offered film roles and modeling contracts. But Douglas stayed loyal to the Beverly Hillbillies for all 9 seasons. She never resented being typecast. Ellie Mae was a gift. Douglas embraced it completely. Later in life, she became a gospel singer and motivational speaker. She spent decades talking about faith and gratitude. Donna Douglas never forgot that a toothpaste commercial changed her entire life. Fact 5. Max Baer Jr. hated being Jethro. Max Baer Jr. played Jethro Bodine, the dim-witted nephew. The character made him famous and ruined his career simultaneously. Baer was the son of heavyweight boxing champion Max Baer. He grew up around fame and success. He had ambitions beyond acting. He wanted to produce and direct. But Jethro became a curse. Audiences could only see him as the idiot nephew. After the Beverly Hillbillies ended, Baer could not find work. Nobody would hire him for serious roles. He was too identified with Jethro. Baer tried everything. He auditioned for dramas. He sought character parts. He begged for opportunities. Nothing worked. He eventually gave up acting and moved into business. He made millions in real estate and casinos. He produced films and tried directing. But Hollywood never forgot Jethro. Later in life, Baer admitted he hated the character. Jethro made him wealthy but cost him the career he actually wanted. He became bitter about the Beverly Hillbillies. He refused reunion specials. He avoided cast gatherings. Max Baer Jr. got everything he thought he wanted, and it destroyed what he actually needed. Fact 6. Irene Ryan was a vaudeville veteran. Irene Ryan played Granny with scene-stealing energy. She was 60 years old when the show began. She had spent 50 years in show business. Ryan started in vaudeville as a child performer. She did radio shows. She performed in traveling acts. She worked constantly but never became a star. The Beverly Hillbillies was her last chance. Ryan brought everything she learned to Granny. Timing, physical comedy, vocal control. She made Granny fierce and funny. The character was supposed to be a supporting role. Ryan made her essential. Granny got some of the biggest laughs. Her feuds with Miss Jane, her ridiculous remedies, her stubbornness. Ryan played it all perfectly. She was nominated for Emmy Awards twice. She never won, but the nominations validated her. After the show ended, Ryan tried to transition to Broadway. She was cast in a musical called Pippin. During rehearsals, she suffered a stroke. She died shortly after at age 70. Irene Ryan spent 50 years waiting for stardom. She got 8 years of it, and she made every second count. Fact 7. Raymond Bailey was embarrassed. Raymond Bailey played Milburn Drysdale, the greedy banker. Bailey was a serious actor with film credentials. He had appeared in respected movies. He worked with major directors. The Beverly Hillbillies was supposed to be a quick paycheck. Bailey expected the show to fail. Instead, it became a phenomenon. Bailey was embarrassed. His friends in theater mocked him. Critics dismissed the show as lowbrow garbage. Bailey agreed with them privately. He thought the Beverly Hillbillies was beneath him. But he cashed the checks and stayed for 9 seasons. He played Drysdale as a selfish buffoon, obsessed with keeping Jed's money in his bank. The character had no dignity. Bailey brought professional skill to the role but never respected it. In interviews, he dismissed the show. He said it was work, nothing more. When the show ended, Bailey retired immediately. He never acted again. He wanted to forget the Beverly Hillbillies, but audiences never forgot him. Raymond Bailey got wealthy playing a character he hated. That wealth let him retire comfortably. Sometimes embarrassment pays well. Fact 8. Nancy Culp and Buddy Ebsen became enemies. Nancy Culp played Miss Jane Hathaway, the banker's assistant. She and Buddy Ebsen worked together for 9 years. They seemed friendly on screen. Behind the scenes, they grew to hate each other. The reason was politics. Culp was a liberal Democrat. Ebsen was a conservative Republican. For years, they kept their differences private. After the show ended, Culp ran for Congress in Pennsylvania. She campaigned as a Democrat. Ebsen publicly endorsed her opponent. He cut a radio ad attacking her politics. Culp was devastated. She thought Ebsen was a friend. His betrayal hurt deeply. The two never spoke again. Culp lost the election. She blamed Ebsen partially. She gave interviews expressing her disappointment. Ebsen never apologized. He believed politics was more important than television friendships. The feud became public knowledge. Fans took sides. The Clampett family was broken. Nancy Culp died in 1991 from cancer. Ebsen did not attend the funeral. Some wounds never heal. Not even for hillbillies. Fact 9. The mansion was real. The Clampett mansion was a real house in Bel Air. It belonged to Arnold Kirkaby, a Chicago hotel magnate. The production rented the exterior for filming. The mansion had 10 bedrooms and a ballroom. It sat on 10 acres. It was worth millions, even in the 1,960 seconds. The interior scenes were filmed on sound stages, but the exterior establishing shots were all real. The mansion became iconic. Tourists would drive by hoping to see the Clampetts. The owners eventually got tired of the attention. After the show ended, they sold the property. The mansion was torn down in 1986. A developer built a new house on the land. The Clampett mansion exists now only in reruns, but for 24 years it was real. And fans still drive by the address hoping to find it. Fact 10. The theme song hit the charts. The Ballad of Jed Clampett was sung by Jerry Scoggins with bluegrass musicians Flatt and Scruggs. The song told the entire premise in 1 minute. Poor mountaineer, strikes oil, moves to Beverly Hills. The song was catchy and authentic. It was released as a single. The Ballad of Jed Clampett hit number 44 on the Billboard charts. A television theme song became a radio hit. Flatt and Scruggs became celebrities. They appeared on the show multiple times playing themselves. The song introduced bluegrass music to mainstream America. Millions of people heard banjo music for the first time. The cultural impact was significant. Bluegrass festivals saw attendance increases. Record sales jumped. The Beverly Hillbillies made traditional mountain music cool. Fact 11. Critics hated the show. Television critics despised the Beverly Hillbillies. They called it stupid. They called it an insult to intelligence. They said it represented everything wrong with American television. The New York Times wrote scathing reviews. Intellectual magazines mocked it. Cultural critics used it as evidence of declining standards. The hatred was intense and personal. CBS did not care. The ratings were too massive. Regular Americans loved the show. The disconnect between critics and audiences was total. Paul Henning used the criticism as motivation. He said the show was for working people, not elites. The Clampetts represented folks the critics looked down on. Making those people the heroes was revolutionary. The critics never understood this. They thought the show mocked hillbillies. Actually, it celebrated them. The joke was always on the wealthy snobs. The Clampetts were smarter and kinder than everyone in Beverly Hills. That message resonated with millions. The critics could hate all they wanted. The people had spoken. Fact 12. The show was almost canceled after season 1. Despite massive ratings, CBS executives hated the Beverly Hillbillies. Network president James Aubrey was embarrassed by its success. He wanted prestige programming. He wanted critical acclaim. The Beverly Hillbillies was neither. Aubrey seriously considered canceling the show after season 1. He thought it damaged the network's reputation. Other executives convinced him this was insane. The show was making too much money. Advertisers were fighting for commercial slots. Canceling would be financial suicide. Aubrey backed down but continued to resent the show. For 9 seasons, he looked for ways to kill it. He never found the courage. The Beverly Hillbillies was too powerful. It kept CBS at number 1. Aubrey eventually left the network. The show he hated outlasted him. Fact 13. A president attacked the show. President John F. Kennedy reportedly hated the Beverly Hillbillies. He thought it was beneath American culture. He mentioned it in private conversations as evidence of declining standards. After Kennedy's assassination, this became public knowledge. Cultural historians used it as proof that intellectuals despised the show. Paul Henning was unbothered. He said presidents come and go, but the Clampetts are forever. It was a bold statement. It was also true. Kennedy has been gone for decades. The Beverly Hillbillies still plays in syndication worldwide. Fact 14. The show launched a franchise. The success of the Beverly Hillbillies led to spin-offs. Paul Henning created Petticoat Junction, which ran for 7 seasons. He created Green Acres, which ran for 6. Both shows featured rural characters in comedic situations. CBS had an entire lineup of rural comedies. The Beverly Hillbillies, Petticoat Junction, Green Acres, Gomer Pyle, The Andy Griffith Show. For years, CBS dominated ratings with country humor. This era became known as the Rural Purge when it ended. But during its peak, rural comedy ruled television. Fact 15. The cement pond became iconic. The Clampetts called their swimming pool the cement pond. This became one of the show's most quoted lines. The cement pond represented everything the show was about, taking something fancy and seeing it through simple eyes. A swimming pool is just a pond made of cement. The logic was perfect. The phrase entered American language. People still say cement pond when referring to swimming pools. The Beverly Hillbillies created vocabulary. Fact 16. Real moonshine was never used. The show featured Granny making moonshine constantly. She had a still in the backyard. She talked about her recipe. But real moonshine was never used on set. The liquid in the jug was usually water or iced tea. Sometimes it was actual store-bought liquor. But never illegal moonshine. Standards and practices would not allow it. The suggestion of moonshine was acceptable. Actual illegal alcohol was not. This created a strange double standard. The show could joke about crime but not commit it. Fact 17. The show addressed serious issues. Rarely. Unlike other sitcoms, the Beverly Hillbillies almost never dealt with serious social issues. There were no episodes about racism or war or poverty. The show stayed relentlessly light. Paul Henning believed audiences wanted escape, not lectures. The Beverly Hillbillies provided pure entertainment. This approach was criticized. Some said the show was irresponsible. Others appreciated the consistency. Not every show needs to be educational. Sometimes laughter is enough. Fact 18. Merchandise made millions. Beverly Hillbillies merchandise was everywhere. Lunchboxes, board games, comic books, dolls, trading cards, paper dolls, coloring books. The show licensed everything possible. Toy stores had entire sections dedicated to the Clampetts. Kids wanted to own a piece of the show. Parents bought everything. The merchandise revenue exceeded what CBS made from advertising. Licensing was enormously profitable. Fact 19. The cast stayed close. Despite political differences, most of the cast remained friendly. Buddy Ebsen and Donna Douglas exchanged letters for decades. Irene Ryan mentored Max Baer Jr. like a grandmother. Raymond Bailey socialized with the crew. Nancy Culp stayed in touch with Donna Douglas until her death. The Clampetts were a family on screen and partially off screen. They attended each other's major life events. They supported each other through hard times. Television families rarely stay connected. The Beverly Hillbillies cast was an exception. Fact 20. The final episode was not a finale. The Beverly Hillbillies ended in 1971, not because of ratings, but because CBS wanted a younger audience. The network canceled all rural comedies simultaneously. The Beverly Hillbillies was still popular. The final episode was not written as a finale. It was just another episode. The cast thought they would return for season 10. They found out about cancellation through the press. There was no goodbye episode, no wrap-up. The Clampetts just stopped. Fans were furious. CBS received thousands of complaint letters. The network ignored them. The rural purge was complete.